There are many claims online about Black Americans' origin. Some say all Black Americans were already in America before. Others claim hidden history were completely erased.
Black people, I could be wrong, but I'm starting to feel like black people from the diaspora that tell black Americans that they don't know where they're from and they don't know where their roots are really just serving the function of white supremacy. But that's a claim, and I'll tell you why it's not baseless. Because one, when you do that, you not only trivialize, but you minimize the long-reaching effects of chattel slavery. You make it seem like it's not that big a deal and like it really has no effect on the modern day when it does. Just like colonialism has a modern day effect on Africa and the Caribbean and Central and South America. And two, you minimize and trivialize the experiences and socio-cultural impact of black people on the entire world.
Most historians agree that the majority of Black Americans descend from West and Central African brought through the transatlantic slave trade.
Black people was already here. That's a bald-faced lie. He didn't discover no America. And the ship got in troubled water. Mm-hmm. And them black men was already here. Mm-hmm. The black people was already here. So they went out in that ocean and rescued Columbus off that ship. But they didn't have no knowledge, no learning or nothing. Mm-hmm. And then he came here and he put him into slavery. It saved his life. But he's a bald-faced lie when he said he discovered America. That's a bald-faced lie. If my black relative didn't went out there and to rescue his butt when that the turbulence was tearing up them ships, he wouldn't have been here. So black people didn't know. All they knew was living off the land. And they didn't know how to fight for themselves.
Right.
He put the black people into slavery. And the big old giant. My grandfather was tall. And he wasn't afraid of nothing. Nobody, white or black, short or tall, fat or thin. He wasn't afraid of nothing.
What was your grandfather's name?
John Jordan. Everybody call him Johnny. John Jordan. Put the black people into slavery. And they got tight and they fought their way out. They fought their way
out. Understanding the truth honors the real suffering and the real strength of the people who survived. Before America became a nation, before there were states, cities, and highways, there were people with names, people with languages, people with families, people with history. But what happens when the history is interrupted? What happens when names are erased, languages are silenced, and families are torn apart? Today we'll explore a powerful question. Why do many Black Americans struggle to trace their ancestors beyond a few generations? And what does that really mean? For generations, a narrative has persisted, shaping how we understand history and identity. But what if parts of the story have been overlooked or even erased?
Let's say you're a young girl and you get kidnapped from your village in 1802. And you make it through the Middle Passage. Let's call you Amaka. You are on a boat crammed in with people from all over the west coast of Africa, right? And you don't speak the language that everyone else speaks on your boat, but you do find someone from, close by who understands you. They take care of you. You survive. You make it to Charleston, South Carolina, where everyone who was there gets separated. They see you with the young lady or young man who was taking care of you, and they separate you. Because if you are housed with someone who speaks the same language, you are then able to communicate. If you're able to communicate, then the likelihood of you organizing a revolt and overthrowing your slave master is high. So they don't allow that. So you get placed on a plantation, not in Charleston, but far, far away in, let's send you to Birmingham. All right. So now you're in Birmingham, Alabama. You have a master there. You don't speak the language that everyone else speaks, but you are trained to be a cook in the house, right? So the cook helps you train. You're one of the girls who are there. There is a older black lady, an older woman who has maybe first or second generation enslaved person. She speaks English. You do not. She takes you under her wing, teaches you how to cook, and she protects you from the master's sons so they don't mess around with you. And you actually make it to 15. And you, at 15, now are old enough to be bred. Too bad for you, because this is not a nice plantation. So they call in one of the biggest and broadest enslaved men from a neighboring plantation, who is rented out to other farms in order to make sure that they have very big, very broad babies. You don't get to choose your husband. You don't get to choose who is with you. If he's kind, you are going to be placed in a cabin with him, and he will be gentle and explain to you what's going to happen, and you will be assaulted. Maybe you end up with someone that is not very nice, Big John, let's call him, and you are assaulted because he takes out all his frustrations from his terrible situation out on you. Now you, let's say you're Igbo, right? Your name is Amaka. You are pregnant and you remember what it was like in your village. You want to pass this down onto your child. The bred or the stud or the enslaved man that has been brought in to do this to you is not Igbo. He is, let's say that he is Mandinka, but not just Mandinka. He's also Irish, because his mother was not as lucky as you were, and she was assaulted in her enslavement house, right? So now your child is Igbo and Mandinka and Irish, right? So now you have this baby. But yeah, too bad for you, because that man who owns you has a gambling problem, and now you are sent with your baby to settle his gambling debt to another plantation. On this plantation, you are going to have to bend to the will of this slave master. Now, this one claims to be a benevolent slave master and thinks that every slave on his plantation as his child. So he decides that you are no longer Amaka, you are Betty Ann. And he's also going to change the name of your child because you wanted to pass down something from your people. So you named your baby after your mother, but no, your baby cannot be named after your mother. It is going to be named Annie, right? So now your language is gone. No one you know has ever spoken it since you were 7 years old, and you're starting to forget it. And you can't even name your own child. Someone on the plantation sees you speaking what little you remember of your language to your baby, and you are whipped. And you are whipped so severely that you vow never to speak your own language and never to allow your child to speak that language, lest they be whipped in the same way that you were. Now you have this Igbo, Mandinko, Irish child who does not have any connection to her people from the village that Amaka was born, doesn't speak the language, doesn't have any of the foods, but there are some little remnants. You know, you do her hair in the way that of your people, those sorts of things. But your child is unlucky, just like you were unlucky. And that so-called benevolent slave master on that plantation dies. And everyone on the plantation is sold, including your child, from you. Now, this is how your lineage is introduced to America. Now, imagine generation after generation after generation of mixing, sometimes voluntary, a lot of times involuntary, and all of those different tribes are mixed up together. Mixed up together. And they become a new people. They piece together the stuff that's not beat out of them, and they make that into a new culture in the Gullah Geechee culture, in New Orleans, in Harlem, everywhere else. And we start to build new things, tap and jazz and macaroni and cheese and, second lines and all of these different things that we built up together. That is why we don't know where we come from. Because where we come from is right here.
Despite the attempts to erase the heritage, the spirit of Black Americans endured. From the ashes to oppression, a new vibrant culture emerged. Generation, sometimes voluntary, bringing together diverse African tribes and creating something entirely new. This resilience gave birth to unique cultural expression like the Gullah Geechee culture, the soul sound of jazz, and even traditions like macon and cheese. These are not just traditions, they are the testaments to the people who, despite having their roots violently severed, found ways to weave new ones, creating a rich tapestry and of identity right in America. For many Black Americans, the question of origin remains deeply personal. Historical records were often destroyed, making it difficult to trace lineage beyond a few generations. Yet, the desire to connect with ancestral lands and stories persist. Today, advancements in DNA testing are helping to bridge this gap, allowing individuals to trace their heritage back to specific regions and even tribes in Africa. This journey of reconnection is not just about the past, it is about the understanding the present and building a strong future. It is about reclaiming a history that was hidden, proving the truth through the buried can always be unearthed. The narrative that Black Americans lack the truth, origin, or culture is not only false, but deeply insulting. It is ignored the incredible resilience, creativity, and intellectual powers centuries. From pioneers to athletics like Tiger Woods and Michael Jordan to countless unsung heroes in science, art, and very field imaginable, Black Americans have consistently excelled.
Calm down. Hold on.
That's what I'm trying to.
So you think that was a choice?
Well, if they decided to ask their mum where they're from,
My mom was born in America.
well, she should at least.
Hi, how are you? It's Brenda. I was just thinking about, as I've been doing a lot of research, did you know that most Black people in America can only go back to their great-grandparents or their great-great-grandparents? Historically, we can't go back any further because all the records were destroyed. Did you know that most Black people in America don't know where they came from, what country? You know you came from Germany, from France, from Italy, okay? Most of us don't even know. But I've been doing a lot of research. And it shouldn't be controversial, but it's always interesting when they want to hide our history and delete our history because they don't want us to find out. All right. Most of us were either from the lost tribes, Jewish tribes, the lost tribes of Israel was probably maybe half of us. And if you have the sickle cell anemia trait, then you were from the lost tribes more than likely. And the other portion of us, our ancestors were already in America. Yes. From the 1400s, 1500s, 1600s, we were already in America. Yes. We were the first ones on this land way before Christopher Columbus, and the proof is there, and I've read the proof, seen the proof, heard the proof, okay? It's been hidden. I'm not even going to ask the question why, because everything that has to do with us in America has a question mark behind it. But I will say, if you're hungry enough to find out who you are, where you came from, it is available to you. You just got to do some research. Is it going to make people mad? Yeah. Is it a lot of us that don't care and don't want to know? Yeah. But I want to know, and our DNA doesn't go back far enough. Okay? And that's because the DNA companies don't go back any further. Because if they did, the truth would be revealed. So if you've done your DNA, you need to hold on to those results, because you can look up your DNA if it goes back far enough with all of the traits, and you'll see where we go back to. Yeah, I want to know, and I'm digging, and I want to find out. Most of us are geniuses, brilliant, rhythm. With everything we get in, we excel. Have you noticed? Tiger Woods got in golf, took over, became the best. Michael Jordan in basketball took over, became the best. Okay, and it's not only just in basketball, track and field, the sciences. We have so many genius kids. My son is a genius. He graduated magna cum laude. All right, my grandbaby is a genius. She's in the genius program right now. So we have brilliance in us. Never get fooled, never think you don't, and dig and find out who you are. Yeah, they always call me an angry black woman. No, this is the way I talk, and that's another label they've always put on us. Every time we want to talk about something important, they label us the angry black woman, and they do that to shut us down. Don't be shut down, don't be fooled, dig and find out who you are and where you come from, and you will be not only excited, but shocked. Bye.
This documentary is a call to action, to dig deeper, to question narrative, and to celebrate the profound and the history of Black Americans.